population level risk trajectory, and maybe even behavior change for some. So we call this the Delta trial. I'm going to start things off by saying do not do this. Okay, don't cold turkey this regimen. There was a specific reason why this regimen was done. I typically eat between about 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. a day. Do not try this. Now, this is not an advertisement for fasting. Some people should not fast. Men and women should fast differently from each other. In fact, we're just about to launch a trial for women only for dynamic fasting, and even a person who can safely fast needs to modulate that fast as well, just like we modulate this. I work out consistently every day. I think I saw Dimitri earlier at lunch. We were in the gym, or I was in the gym at least earlier. I work out consistently. And I try to keep my eating as disciplined as possible, but I want to emphasize that for things to be durable, for us to be able to adhere, deprivation, starvation, pain, mental anguish are not great inputs for sustainability. So even though it says green and lean, I actually enjoy my food, and I'll show you at the very end to prove it. For those who can see that chicken and broccoli in there, I assure you it tasted way better than it looked. Okay, so this regimen for me, not too bad. So on the left is 2021. I think we can all argue that post-COVID, we had a pretty hard time. But on the right was what happened to me after the trial, and I assure you, this was not the intent of the Delta trial. In fact, I didn't even know about this. My son sent me the photos. He was like, hey Dad, check this out. And whenever I put this photo up, I get the same response from the audience every time. They say, Dean, the only way you can achieve this is because you have some sort of superhuman level of discipline. But I'm going to tell you, when I first presented this slide about 6 months ago, somebody in the audience is a friend of my father's where I presented. He took a photo of this, sent it to my father, who WhatsApped the photo. My dad's a professor in LA. And he WhatsApps me the photo the next morning and says, or asks, where was all of this discipline when you were 18 years old? Okay, so for people who tell me this is only achievable by some sort of, Herculean level of discipline, I will tell you my parents would strongly disagree with me. All right, but something was interesting. In the middle is a sequence of repeatable dynamics of my own biomarkers. Blood ketone, blood glucose, and then what I did was I spent time understanding how repeatable and how interesting the dynamics of my metabolism was. And so we started thinking about, if we are indeed stories, can we take data that's a little bit more frequently fed to us as a possible carrot to allow us to respond and adhere a little bit better. But I want to emphasize, Delta is not merely a before and after photo. All right, I'm going to show you some of the interesting story that we have on various aspects of things like my metabolism, my gut, even my sleep. What you're looking at here is my metabolic switch. Right? Metabolic switch, for those who don't know, is our body's ability to switch between sugar burning and fat burning. And we never lose that ability. We have a lot of talk about metabolism slowing down over time, etc., but we don't lose the ability to switch. It's just that the way that our lifestyle regulates us, we tend to not switch that often anymore as we get older. What you're seeing in the blue is my ketones switching high, low, high as a function of the black line, which is my glucose as a function of exercise. And this dynamic interplay showing me how quick I was switching over time was fascinating to me, because I believe that alone is a biomarker for risk trajectory of our metabolism, which is relevant for everybody in the room, including myself. When I first started doing this ketogenic switch experiment, it took me 7 days to go from a ketogenic diet into actual metabolic flip. As time went on, it took me 5 days, 4 days, 2 days, now in 15 hours. and to watch our ability to prime our metabolism, and then ultimately, with about 2 weeks ago, get an insulin result that is actually lower than my children, is a fascinating journey in this question of, maybe we don't have to just ask about de-aging our metabolism, but can we reverse risk trajectory, but using our own data as the intervention and the gateway to try and start on that journey. A lesson that I learned from this journey with my metabolism is that over time you can actually train your metabolism to switch faster and maybe age your metabolism a little bit more slowly as well. I don't know how visible this next one is to the audience, but I'm going to say something that's probably relatable to many of you. I used to sleep at midnight to 1 a.m. every day. And I would try to wake up at 7 or 8 just to try to mathematically get 8 hours of sleep. But the reality is, on the left, my sleep was fragmented. I was waking up a lot. The actual sleep was about 5.5 hours. That was about a year plus ago. For my Delta sleep study, I moved my sleep time up by 3 hours, and I will tell you why so drastic. If you look at my sleep now, it's hard to see, but in that orange square, you see a consolidated and consistent deep sleep. I wore 3 different wearables for that study. All of it was matched in terms of trajectory. At one point, I tripled my deep sleep. Sleep architectures improved. Awake time dramatically went down. People ask me all the time, why did you go from, say, 12 midnight to as early as 9? Because my kids sleep at 9 o'clock. Our children are getting chronic disease, metabolic disease, etc. at an unprecedented early time in their life. And yet people still talk to me about, how can we do better with insulin resistance? How can we do better with hormone management? And when we see my kids' friends who are 11 and 12, by the way, texting them on their phone at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, I think at least part of that answer is there. And now my kids brag about their sleep to their friends at a time where GI cancers are up, etc., etc. So people tell me all the time, Dean, Delta's only you. And I tell them that Delta's me and at least 2 more people, right, before we scale this up to the population. This is what I tell people all the time. Investing in your sleep guarantees returns. You're looking at one of the worst sleepers on the planet. I never liked it, but to see what it's done for my health, using my own data as an intervention to show me that I'm taking care of myself, has been pretty profound. At lunch, we talked a little bit about microbiome. I found out last week I am the most widely studied microbiome in Southeast Asia. About 24 readings with raw data. Our guts are stories as well. And I'm going to cut to the chase on this one. On the right side, if you look at me, you can't see one of them too clearly, but I've got 4 types of bacteria, broadly speaking, in my gut. The population in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and new countries being added. There's a little sliver of yellow at the bottom called fusobacteria, which is generally pathogenic, right? There's a lot of debate on what it might be tied to, etc. But something that was interesting was over 24 readings. Fuso didn't show up once. We don't really yet know why. I've sent some of this data to UC San Diego as well. Right? But one thing that is interesting is that fuso